When I first moved into my daughter Karen's house in suburban Ohio, I wasn't exactly thrilled about the idea. At 6 to 5, I valued my independence. But after my hip surgery, the doctors insisted I shouldn't be living alone. Karen offered, or rather insisted, that I move in with her family while I recovered. It wasn't an easy decision, but it seemed like the right one. Her husband Mark was welcoming in that polite, reserved way. He kept his distance but made sure I had everything I needed. Their son, my step-grandson Lucas, was a different story. 16, quiet, and always buried in something in the garage or his laptop. I rarely saw the kid, and when I did, he offered little more than a nod or a quick, mumbled greeting. Weeks passed, and I settled into the rhythm of the household. Mornings were peaceful. Karen always made sure I had my coffee and medication. Mark left early for work, and Lucas disappeared into the garage the moment he was done with school. It became a curiosity, a kind of mystery I couldn't ignore. What was that boy always doing in there? One day, after a particularly dull morning of daytime TV and half-finished crossword puzzles, I decided to take a walk around the property. I ended up by the garage. The door was partially open, and I could hear the soft hum of something electric. I knocked, but there was no answer. "Lucas?" I called out, stepping inside slowly. He looked up, surprised but not annoyed. "Hey, Grandma June," he said, brushing his dark hair from his eyes. It was the first time he had addressed me directly since I'd moved in. "What you working on?" I asked, peering around. The garage was a mix of organized chaos. Tools hung neatly on pegboards, shelves lined with boxes labeled in Lucas's handwriting, and a long workbench covered in wires, gears, and what looked like parts of a small robot. Lucas hesitated, then gestured me closer. "It's kind of a secret project, but I guess I can show you." He stepped aside, revealing what looked like a robotic arm mounted on a small stand. "What in the world is that?" "It's a prosthetic limb prototype," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. "I started working on it last year. It's meant to be low-cost and open source, for people who can't afford expensive prosthetics." I was stunned. "You made this? All by yourself?" He nodded. "I get some help from online forums and a couple of mentors I met through a STEM program. But yeah, I designed most of it. I'm testing a new motor that reacts to muscle signals." My heart swelled with pride. This quiet, withdrawn boy had been doing something incredible right under our noses. I sat down on an old stool, eager to know more. Lucas explained how he had gotten interested in robotics after a class project in 8th grade. He'd spent every spare moment learning programming, 3D printing, and circuitry. The more he talked, the more animated he became. Over the next few weeks, I started visiting the garage more often. Lucas even began waiting for me. He'd show me his progress, explain what each part did, and sometimes even let me help him hold things in place or sort tools. Our bond deepened. One afternoon, I asked him what inspired him to build prosthetics specifically. "A friend of mine from camp," he said, eyes lowering. "His dad lost his arm in a motorcycle accident. He couldn't afford a high-tech prosthetic." That stuck with me. I thought, maybe I could help. That night at dinner, I told Karen and Mark about Lucas's project. Karen teared up, and Mark looked at his son like he was seeing him for the first time. "Lucas, why didn't you ever say anything?" He shrugged. "I didn't think anyone would care." "Of course we care," Karen said, taking his hand. Mark leaned forward. "This could be your future, son. You could get scholarships, funding, anything. We need to talk to your guidance counselor." From that point on, Lucas's world began to open. The school helped him apply for a summer program at MIT, and within months, he had local media interested in his work. A small news segment aired with Lucas demonstrating his prototype. Donations poured in to help him expand his garage lab. Despite the growing attention, Lucas always made time for our little sessions in the garage. I became his sounding board, the person he confided in when things got overwhelming. He even started calling me Grandma June without hesitation. Watching him grow filled me with joy and a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. My recovery was long, but it felt easier with him around. And in many ways, He was healing too. Months turned into a year. Lucas received an early acceptance letter from MIT. The day it arrived, he burst into the living room waving the envelope, eyes shining. "Grandma June." I got in. I hugged him tightly, tears streaming down my face. That night, we sat in the garage one last time before he left for college. The robotic arm, now fully functional and sleek, sat on the table. "I named it June," he said quietly. I looked at him, stunned. "What?" "I wouldn't have finished it without you. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself." My throat tightened with emotion. "Lucas, I'm so proud of you. You're going to change the world." He smiled. "I just want to make it better." As he packed for MIT the next morning, I sat in the garage, staring at the robotic arm named after me. It stood as a symbol of hope, innovation, and most of all, the unexpected bond between a grandmother and her step-grandson. A bond forged not through blood, but through belief, patience, and quiet understanding. And all of it started with a simple knock on a garage door.